What's good, everybody? It's BBKDRAGOON here, back with more Destiny 2 tips. Today talking you through my recommended controller setup, as well as the button layout that I recommend to most players. Now, I have to preface this, when it comes to setup things, it's all personal. It's whatever you want to use, basically whatever you can get comfortable with. My recommended setup may not fit you, but I think I can make a pretty compelling case for the jumper layout. I'll talk about the difference between standard grip and claw grip and show you why claw offers an advantage. And I'll also talk about some of the equipment that I use, like the Control Freak FPS. I am on a standard controller, and I want to also mention later in the video the differences between running vibration, no vibration, as well as a pretty cool piece of gear that gives you access to scuff paddles for a heck of a lot less than a scuff. So let's dive into it. Okay, so here's my controller, just a basic PS4 controller right now. I would love a scuff. I've used Xbox One Elite controllers before, and the paddles just are fantastic. They make for a really, really cool experience, but not everybody can afford that, and you can perform just fine on a standard controller. So the reason I use the bumper layout is it moves the jump button from X over to the LB button right here. So whether you're on Xbox One or PlayStation 4, it's going to be this top left bumper. If we go over to our settings here, and we go to button layout, if you go back to default, when you need to jump, you have to move your thumb, the right thumb, over from the stick to the X button. So let's say I need to jump and try and shoot and cancel my jump. Every time I'm having to execute that, I'm moving my thumb off of the stick. Now in Destiny, it's not like a huge deal, but it is important that you try and keep your right thumb planted on the right stick at all times so that you can jump and maintain accuracy without having to continually moving your thumb off of that stick. The more you can keep the thumb planted means the better accuracy that you're going to have, and the more effectively you're going to be able to aim, especially in PvP at opponents when you're making movements through the air. The jumper layout moves the jump button over to the LB button, so now I can jump and see, I can look around. I've got full control of my character all over the place. Now, like I said, this is something that came about in Halo 3. A lot of players switched because jumping and shooting was a really big part of gunfights in that game. In Destiny, not as much, because basically your accuracy goes out the window when you start jumping. It adds a randomness factor. It's like, you know, when I'm in the air, look how big the crosshairs bloom out. That basically means any time I fire, there's a chance it could land anywhere in those bloomed out crosshairs. So bumper is a really nice layout to help with jump puzzles. It just makes maneuvering a lot easier, and I think especially for newer players, if you're going to learn something, bumper is fantastic to learn. Now there's a few key things to keep in mind. It's not perfect. Notice when I need to reload the weapon, I still have to move my thumb off the stick. If I'm switching weapons, I need to do so. Or what if I want to slide and turn at the same time? Or better yet, what if I want to do the Icarus dash dodge, or I'm a hunter and I need to do the little gunslinger dodge thing? That is still a disadvantage for the player who's having to move his thumb off of the stick to execute that action. So in an ideal world, that's where clawing comes in. If you can't afford a scuff or back paddles or an elite controller, clawing is a really good option, and I encourage you all to at least give it a try. What it is, as you can see here, I am using my index finger to push all the buttons on the face of the controller, and I'm using my middle finger to end up doing the shooting. Now, it takes a little bit of time to get used to, but if you can get good at it, it's the same as an elite. You can activate all the buttons that you need to, all from this space right here. Now, clawing can hurt your hand. I try not to claw as much as possible, just because it does hurt my hand. However, when I'm playing tougher matches, especially games where I need to be doing revives, I'm clawing a lot of the time. So some players like me, you'll see me transition into claw when I know I'm coming into a situation where I need to, let's say, revive or pull heavy ammo, so I'm holding square right here, so I can still continue all the ability to look around and get ready to pre-aim at opponents, but I actually still have the functionality of pulling the heavy ammo or going for the revive. Just a couple of things to think about, especially sliding. Sliding is really helpful in PvP, as I totally fail right there. So good players a lot of times aggressively will be sliding. Some of the Trials weapons have perks that reload during your slides, and if you're continually moving your thumb off the stick to do it in a non-claw form, it's just not optimal. Can you get good at either grips? Yeah, you can be totally fine with standard grip 24/7, and players who learn how to play claw all the time, I think it does offer an advantage. It's really just up to the individual player. Last thing I wanted to mention here is you'll see an FPS Control Freak on my right thumbstick. I love the FPS Control Freaks. I've been using them for 5 or 6 years. I'm not endorsed by them at all. I do have an Amazon affiliate link in the description below if you're interested in the ones I use. They're just little thumbstick racers that snap onto the domes of the sticks, and they give a lot of like textured grip at the top that makes, hold on, there we go, makes, you know, grip on the stick have at it, comments. Makes gripping the stick a heck of a lot easier, but it also helps with the really fine-tuned movements. Let's say we're on a non-Control Freak stick here, and I need to move it just a really little bit. Sometimes those small movements are tough to execute, whereas when you have the extra leverage of the Control Freak, those small movements become way easier to execute. So just something to keep in mind. I don't recommend it on the left thumbstick. Why? Because if you're actually doing strafing, you need to be able to slam the stick to the edges as quickly as possible. So that's why I only run it on the right stick. I want to mention as well, I run no controller vibration. I run the vibration off on the controller, and I recommend that to pretty much everybody. Why? Because the controller vibrating is a stress mechanic. When you're getting shot and you're in the middle of a shot string, you need to focus on one thing, your accuracy. And having a controller shake in your hand, I just cannot objectively see how that helps with fine-tuned precision aiming. The counter argument is always, well, how will I know when I'm being shot, BBK? The game supplies you with all the information that you need to know on screen, just like a PC shooter. That's like saying in Counter-Strike, how will I know when I'm being shot? The game has on-screen indicators that give all that information to you. It'll show you little red splotches from the right or left side of the screen that give you a great indication as to when you're being shot, where you're being shot from. Now, if you've grown up on console your whole life, this will be a difficult transition at first, but I promise you, it is worth it. Now, this isn't a transition that fits everybody. I would say it's probably like 50-50 or 60-40 in the pro side of things, at least with Halo it was, where some pros run vibration and some pros do not. So I can't sit here and go, this will work for everybody. All I know is back in Halo Reach, when I made the transition, this transformed my aim. One of the single best tips I think I can ever give a player is disable controller vibration. Get through the transition of learning when you're shot and when you're getting shot from, like where, excuse me. And that helps so much. Again, I believe the vibration is nothing more than a stress mechanic, and when you're trying to concentrate, it just feels like somebody's breathing down the back of your neck when you're just knowing you're getting grilled from somebody across the map, and it can be really frustrating too. I want to mention that I've reviewed a product called the FPS Strike Dominator Pack. I think that's what the full title is, and if you click on the link in the description below, it'll take you to the review of that. This is a $40 device for PlayStation 4 controllers. They do make them for Xbox. They're just really hard to find. I don't know if they stock them anymore, but they give you 2 reassignable back paddles for just 40 bucks, and I think they're pretty rad, to be honest with you. It's not going to fit everybody's hand style, and some people are going to want the luxury of going for a SCUF or an Xbox Elite controller, which is both fantastic, like that's cool. However, if you want to get the ability to have reassignable back paddles, it might be a product worth checking out. So thanks very much for watching this video. I'll be back soon to talk a little bit further about aiming and accuracy, sort of the mindset behind how you can improve it, and the way you should actually be thinking about aiming during your matches. So if you enjoyed the video, please like it, subscribe for more Destiny 2. I appreciate the support. It's been insane the last couple of weeks, and I hope you guys are enjoying Destiny 2 as much as I am. We'll see you next time.